everybody, welcome to the Fatherless Cheat Sheet. I'm your host and fatherless friend, Andrew, and today I'm solo, flying solo today, a lone wolf, and not really flying solo because I was pleasantly surprised to see that we have a lot of questions out there, a lot of questions about the topics we talk about, specifically fatherlessness and at large today in this episode. And I want to talk a little bit about maybe a little more of my background and some earlier years as just a little boy who lost his papa bear. And I feel like it was the hand of cards dealt. I've always tried to have that approach. A lot of the questions that I'm going over, there's a lot of pain in the questions. There's a lot of sadness in the questions, and there's a lot of baked in things that I can sort of sense in the questions. I'm a fairly empathetic person. And I think that when you're a stocky kid, empathetic by nature, surrounded by ladies, you tend to learn how to listen. First of all, Mom, I love you. Em, love you. But I couldn't really get a word in anyway. So I learned how to listen quite a bit. But with that, when you do listen, when you keep your mouth shut for 6 seconds, which is sort of hard for people to do these days, no offense, world, you can hear more than what people are just saying. And that's what sort of appealed to me or was prominent to me in some of the questions that I got. And then we're going to have a little fun at the end of the episode as well with something new to me, was brought to my attention by my wonderful producers, Nicole and Madison, called Am I the Asshole? For me, if you'd ask friends and family, yeah, probably often the answer for me is yes. Maybe I'm a little hard on myself. It'd be half the time. I'll split the difference. But one of my earliest memories of my dad was I actually remember his wake. I remember his wake because at his wake, I was 3+ years old, I was on the kneeler under his casket, and I was playing with my G.I. Joe, my little green men, my G.I. Joes, or not G.I. Joes, those little green men you get at the time, probably $2.99 from Dwayne Reed or whatever. And now they'd probably be about $70, and you'd have to get those with a key next to the toothpaste. But I remember playing on the kneeler under his casket, under his body, and I think Mom was a little distracted to say maybe that's not the best playground for me that day. But I guess my point in mentioning that is more about my having no idea what was going on, my complete and utter childhood naivete and not understanding what was going on with that situation. And other than that, I only have a couple memories of him. He looked a little like, I always thought he looked a little like Daniel Day-Lewis, but he was more lithe. He was slender. I remember the one big memory I have of him was he was driving me, and I had a bag of Cheerios in one of those plastic bags that folds over. Doesn't zip, but it folds over. And I don't know why that stuck with me. And it was 1985, so 2 songs were playing on the radio. One song was Borderline by Madonna, and the other song was Against All Odds by Phil Collins. And for some reason, I guess it just sticks out in my brain. And I have to tell you, I'm not quite sure why I'm telling this story, but those are the most vivid memories I have of him. And he was a writer. And apparently he was very funny. I think he had more of an acerbic sense of humor. At times he would sort of brush up against mean. I don't love mean. It's not my fave. So that's sort of a little bit of background in my history with Frank in the very, very early days, because I think it's important to sort of unwrap the onion and explain and give the whole lineage as we go forward. But I won't bore you with too much more. So what I'd like to do, fatherlessness at large, let's get to some of these questions. Okay, I'm going to keep everybody anonymous, by the way, with these questions. Dad has been missing my whole life. He just re-entered the picture and wants a relationship. What should I do? I guess, oh boy, everything's circumstantial. Where did he go and why? Do you know? Do you know what happened? Was he forced out? Did he just lose his gut and his stones and panicked and left? Which is an absolute horseshit excuse. But first and foremost, what do you want to do? Because at the end of the day, you have to consider your feelings first. And if you want to have that new relationship, really new relationship, come into your life, if you want to open yourself up to that type of thing. But since you asked the question, I have a feeling that the answer is yes. Personally, I would say I would open the door. I would open the door to it. And this is a little dark of a metaphor, but I always say you give people enough rope to hang themselves with. Is that kosher? I don't know. Sorry if I offended anybody with that one. It's just a saying. So I would say, yeah, I would say, sure, open the door and see what he's got to say. What's the worst that's going to happen? He leaves again, or you then you leave, and it's done and it's over. At least then you can cross it off the list. You can shut the door on it completely, because I have to imagine, just to reference something my sister said, and then the namesake for episode 1, at least he died. The whole point behind that was that there was immediate closure. We never had a question as to the finality of it, because that's pretty final. But a lot of the conversations I've had around fatherlessness, a lot of these conversations and questions have a lot to do with there's an absence, but the absence was a choice. So you have to say, what do you want to put yourself through with this, and what are you willing to deal with and sacrifice? Question 2, I'm getting married. Congratulations. That's fantastic. I'm much closer to my stepdad. Can I have him walk me down the aisle instead of my biological father? And how do I tell him? Well, with the follow-up question, how do I tell him? I think that means you made your mind up. And as they say in science tests, which I never passed, always go with your first answer. Mine was usually wrong. That's a different topic. First of all, congratulations on getting married. I wish you well. I'll be married 8 years in October to a very, very wonderful, beautiful woman and a fantastic mom. And I'm very proud to be married to her. I'm not sure what she's thinking generally about settling for me, but I would say marriage is a really, really wonderful, special thing. It's really hard. It's really hard, and having something to do with the other person, but it's what comes down the pike in marriage. And you have to just really make sure that you're signing that life contract with the right person. So I hope you're doing that. That's not the question you asked. The question you asked was about your stepfather. And here's what I'd say. If you are considering having your dad walk you down, maybe as well, maybe a dual walk down. Maybe one does a slow step, one does a shuffle. I don't know. I'm kidding. But I think that if you're considering including your biological father in that, it sounds like your stepdad's a really great guy. Sounds like he's a really good man who sort of took that father figure position in your life and became your father. So he would understand, and he would want to do what was your wish on your day and what was important to you. I would also say, before you do that, to really consider why you might have your biological father walk you down. So when you're considering your biological father walking you down the aisle, why are you considering that? Are you doing it because you feel guilty? Are you doing it because you think it's an obligation? Or do you really want to do that? So I think that it begins and ends with what you want. And again, the how do I tell them thing sort of maybe intimates that, yeah, you want to break this news to them and say, hey, look, this is going to be Stepdad Randy's show, or whatever his name is. I'm sure he's a sweetheart. So I would just choose wisely, and at the end of the day, it is your day. Regret's funny in that we kill ourselves over decisions we make, but at the time, it's the decision that you felt like you had to make. And that's the decision that you sort of have to go with your gut. So prioritize the why, prioritize yourself because it is your day. And especially around big events, try not to have too many people giving you their opinion on it as I'm giving you mine right now, but I'm totally objective and just want you to have a good day. So maybe it's the two of them. Maybe it's just your stepdad. I think you know the answer and you'll handle it as you will. So good luck and have a great, great marriage. Okay. My dad has a whole other family. He's a good dad to them as far as I could tell. They are aware of me. Can I reach out? Dad was busy. It sounds like dad, it's not a step family. I'm just going to guess. It sounds like not a step family. It sounds like a different family on the other side of town, maybe. He was just hoping nobody got wind of each other. Okay, I'm not going to kill him. I don't know. He's a good dad to him. That's great. It's a good start. They're aware of you. Can you reach out? Okay, I'm a broken record, but why do you want to reach out if it's that shared, obviously shared father? I understand that. I think you have to be, I guess, a little aware of your own needs and your own desires in this, or what do you want to get out of it? If you want to just feel closer to him through people, you have other family. I think that, yeah, I would say go for it. Why not? Sometimes we're scared of what happens. They always say 80% of the stuff that you worry about is never going to happen. So if you're worried about them being cagey or not being responsive to you, okay, again, like in my first answer, then you cross it off. Then you never have to think about it or them ever again. So I would say go for it. Absolutely. I'm 18. I never had my pops around. I'm missing out on things my friends got from theirs. How do I stop feeling like I'll always be behind? Oof. Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. That's a really tough one. I felt that way. I've felt that way a lot. And to be honest with you, there are a lot of times I still feel that way. And I'm not sure there are ways to surrogates. There are people who are going to lean in. There are experiences you will have that may feel like this is sort of a paternal mentor relationship. But there's a point where, and I'm not being harsh here. It's just, I know how this goes. There's a point where you just have to face the fact that he's not there. You're not your friends. You don't have your friend's dad. And you just have to move on with that. And that's sort of a hard truth. Now, a couple things on that. There are things that go on that you have no idea about. Maybe Jaden's dad is, he's taking him out to concerts. He bought him the Corvette. Maybe he's a real asshole who's compensating for the fact that, he beat the shit out of the kid for the first half of his life. Let's hope that Jaden didn't get beaten. That's harsh. But what I'm saying is you just never know what's really going on. So I'm responding more to the question of you feeling like you're missing out on something. And you are, and I did, and I get it. But you can't live like that. Comparisons are the thief of joy, as they say. You can't live like that. As sort of an aside, I won't mention any names. I won't even say how good of a friend he is because this won't. But I had a friend of mine. His dad was one of the most wonderful people that I'd ever known, and he took a shine to me. And the relationship, very short relationship I had with him, meant a great, great deal to me. It would never have replaced actually having a father. But to this day, and this was many years ago, that's for me an irreplaceable period of time and an irreplaceable influence on me, because I actually saw what he did for my friend and even for me in some realm, in some small ways. That large overture that he made and his kindness to me will never be forgotten and is irreplaceable for me. Now, does that make up for all the other stuff? No, of course it doesn't. But that's life. Everybody's got their stuff, and unfortunately, you have to deal with it. And I would say just do your best to move forward and try to make your own life, and don't worry about what other people are doing. Who cares? Who cares? Dad's gonna get you an extra Taylor Swift ticket. Go do something else. Okay. All right. So that does it for our questions. I hope I satisfied those questions. We're going to do something else right now. We're going to do a little, am I the asshole? Well, this is new to me, but not to you. So let's do it. Am I the asshole for not asking my dad to walk me down the aisle? I am a 30-year-old female. I'm getting married to my fiance, 28, male, and the wedding is booked for 2027. Congratulations. Been together for 6 years. For background, I feel very strongly about my feminist beliefs, and I've always said I don't want my dad to walk me down the aisle. I've always had this view since I was a teenager, long before I met my partner. The reason I believe this is I think it's really old-fashioned, and it goes back to a time when women were property of their father, giving the property to their future husband. Quite frankly, I don't belong to anybody to give away. Yeah, good for you. I tend to agree. I know it's a really special thing for some people, and I completely respect everyone's personal preference, but my preference is not to be given away. I'm not particularly close with my parents either. I didn't have an abusive childhood or anything. Me and my brother grew up being very aware that our parents didn't enjoy being parents, and were told more than once that they would not have kids if they could do it again. So we're not exactly close with our parents now that we're both adults. Now to the issue, my fiance and I both of our moms, oh, okay, probably from the UK, hello, to the wedding, both of our moms to the wedding to have a look round and take them for lunch. It was supposed to be a nice day. They were both asking us questions, and my mom said she knows my views, but I'm sure I don't want my dad to give me away. I said I don't. She started crying, causing a scene, saying I was upsetting her, and my dad is heartbroken, and that she won't see my dad walk her daughter down the aisle. It's worth mentioning that I'm not my dad's only daughter. He hasn't seen her for only over 20 years, and he's not exactly father of the year. I can't help but feel that she doesn't respect my views and thought just because I'm engaged, I'll become a different person and want the perfect princess wedding. We've had similar conversations about kids because I don't want them, and she said she used to say I would change my mind when I met the right person or once I'm married. Like I said, we're not even close. It also feels performative. They're only bothered so they get their perfect pictures and Facebook mom bragging rights. I felt very strongly that it's our wedding, so I'm not giving in to my mom. But now I'm wondering if it's a hill worth dying on for the sake of one day, especially when the wedding is 2 years away. So it's going to keep coming up as an issue for 2 years. So am I the asshole for not letting my dad walk me down the aisle? Edit. We were paying for the wedding ourselves, no parents contributing to it. Oh boy. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. My gut. No, I don't think you're an asshole for not letting him. No, not at all. For not asking no, I don't think you're an asshole for not asking your dad to walk. He doesn't sound great. Let's just cut to the chase. I mean, you're telling a kid that we didn't really want to be parents. I heard a great phrase yesterday, actually, and the phrase was little ears are always listening, and little ears hear everything. To me, that means as a child, if you're hearing that your parents didn't want you or weren't planning on you and just sort of are roughing it, yeah, that's going to set you out for some certain things. And you're going to, well, look, I'll put it this way. You said you have a brother. I'd let your brother walk you down the aisle. I'd tell dad to kick rocks. Kick rocks. You're just showing up now. And hey, mom, you're being a little dramatic. Stop making it about yourself. Okay? Maybe you should have stepped up. Maybe you took a couple nice pictures at homecoming, freshman year of high school. And we would start there. What tends to happen around these big events, these big life events, everybody gets all ginned up. They get excited. Everybody has to fall into line what they think their role really is, where to me, the most important thing over the years are actions. Actions are the most important thing. What do the kids say? Receipts? Actions are receipts. So as far as I'm concerned, you do whatever you want. You are nobody's property. I have 2 daughters. I'm going to teach them they're nobody's property. Go make a man your property. No, I'm just kidding. But my point is, I say you do whatever you want to do. You're not an asshole. No, certainly not. You do what you want to do. Don't cave. Well, because you have to deal with it. Look, it sounds like mom is going to find something else to bitch about for 2 years until your wedding. So let it be the hill you die on if that's the hill. Yeah, don't worry about it. Move on. Have a great wedding, by the way. Okay, we'll do another one. Am I the asshole? So funny. Am I the asshole for planning international travel without my children? So here's the reality. I have 2 kids. They are now 14 and 16. I've had 50-50 since I got divorced. I guess that means custody. Up until a few months ago. 4 years ago, my ex-wife got remarried, and her husband advised her to start a custody dispute. I spent $165K, basically life savings, a lot of cash, fighting for 4 years. For the record, my ex-wife's father is wealthy and paid for our legal fees. This comes into play later, in quotes, not quotes. The older child told the court-appointed therapist, I want to live with my mom and only see my dad every other weekend. The younger one just said they wanted to do 50-50. The younger one then changed their mind and said, oh, maybe 70-30, Mom. I just want the court stuff to be over, the younger child said. I went to trial. My attorney fought like hell, but the judge said, given the children's age, their preference will take precedence and we won't split them up, as it would break their sibling bond. While my wife and I have been planning some travel. Oh, he got remarried. Okay. He sounds like a charmer. I'm slightly surprised. My wife and I have been planning some travel with some friends and her sister and their husbands. It includes 9 days in Spain and France. Well, lucky you. They picked the dates. We got tickets. The kids found out about it and have been asking me, we want to go. Why can't we go? I told my children this is something we planned, we saved for. They asked if it was an adult trip only. I told them it was not, and their 50-year-old cousin was coming. They said it was not fair. We couldn't take them as they know we could afford it, and it would be their only chance to travel internationally. I told them, you're young adults now. You choose to spend the majority of your time with your mother, and you got what you wanted, but choices have consequences. One of them is that you don't get to join me on things like this. They're both very upset. My younger one said, you're just mad. We have more fun at Mom's house. Okay, yeah. I hate to break it to you, Scott, or whatever your name is. You're a giant asshole. This is so bad to me as a father who desperately wants to spend time with his children. This sounds made up. I'm sure it's not, but this is like passive aggressive penthouse forum. This one, this is ridiculous. Get over yourself, Get over yourself, and take your kids with you, and stop being petty. Now I could have no idea why your marriage dissolved. You were probably a real pleasure after PTA meetings and things like that. So, yeah, you're an asshole, and maybe at every opportunity, since you have them, spend time with your kids, because again, time is the commodity, and you got to like what you're doing and who you're doing it with, because this thing don't last long. So I'll tell you what, Scott, I think you're going to regret this decision to not take your kids with you when you're lying in your hospice bed when you're 92 years old and they're holding your hand. You're probably going to regret it. So I don't know, maybe rethink the extra couple tickets to the south of France and the coast of Spain. Anyway, Well, that's just my take, guys. I'm just one man, and this was my first solo episode. I hope you liked it. And we'll talk to you soon. Fatherless Cheat Sheet. Subscribe, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. Like, subscribe. Send us questions on the email, fatherlesscheatsheetpodcast@gmail.com, and all that good stuff. Keep the questions coming. We'd love to talk to you. All right. Thanks, guys.